Good day. This is the part 2 of the lesson 1 for engineering mechanics. So in this lesson, we will be talking about the representation of vector quantities using its components. So in engineering application, it is customary to describe vectors using the rectangular components and then to perform vector operations such as addition in terms of these components. So if a vector A is resolved into its rectangular components, it can be written as A is equal to, or vector A is equals to AXI plus AYJ plus AZK. So what is this AX, AY, AZ, as well as this IJK? So this IJK are simply vector operators that denotes the position of this particular value in terms of x and y, x, y, z coordinate. So ang x, ang kanyang vector operator is I, ang y-axis naman, ang kanyang vector operator is j, while sa z-axis, ang kanyang vector operator ay k. So this ax, ay, and az are simply the values, okay, the scalar values of A along x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Or in other words, it is the projection of vector A in their respective axes. No? So we will talk more about this on the next slide. Okay, so say for example AX, you'll notice that AX here, or this one actually, is simply the projection of A along x-axis with a positive angle of theta x. So kung i-assume natin that a plane exists between A and the x-axis, makikita natin that actually AX is simply the value of A times the cosine of theta x, where theta x is the positive angle between the vector A and x-axis. Similarly, makukuha natin si AY and AZ in the same manner. So AY is equals to A cosine theta Y, AZ is cosine theta Z. So if we have the values of AX, AY, and AZ, we can now solve for A, okay, using the Pythagorean theorem that states that A is equals to the square root of AX squared plus AY squared plus AZ squared. So assuming na ang given sa atin is a vector, masosolve na natin ang kanyang components. If given naman sa atin ang components, masosolve din natin ang kanyang magnitude. Okay? So sa angle naman, makukuha din natin siya given using the trigonometric principles. Okay, as we expound on this, if we have A, vector A is equals to AXI plus AYJ plus AZK, and we know that AX, AY, AZ are A cosine theta x, A cosine theta y, and A cosine theta z respectively, makikita natin that if we distribute the value of A, kita natin na magiging ganito ang equation natin. Vector A can be expressed as the magnitude of A times this particular parameter. So it is interesting to note that itong parameter na to, itong part na to, can be further simplified or represented using the symbol lambda. So itong lambda, or lambda x, lambda y, lambda z, position vectors, no? Ikita natin that if we are to relate them, the lambda x apparently is simply cosine theta x. And then lambda y, cosine theta y, and then lambda z is cosine theta z. Furthermore, makikita natin, since this is a position vector, ang kanyang value kapag kinuha natin ang sum of the squares ng bawat isa will be equal to 1. In other words, si vector A pala ay pwede kong isulat as magnitude of A times lambda, where lambda is equal to this particular value. Later on sa examples natin, makikita natin that this notation can be actually useful. So let's say for example, meron tayong vector A na ito yung kanyang position. No? The value of vector A is 12 meters. It is situated in this position. Ano? So ang kanyang projection sa xy plane is 40 degrees from x, and it is situated 30 degrees from z. So ang tanong sa atin ngayon is that let us determine the rectangular representation of this particular vector. So anong gagawin natin? So first, i-consider natin ang plane xy, no? Itong plane xy as our base plane. And then mag-drawing tayo ng another plane perpendicular to plane xy that will pass through A and Z. If we do that, makikita natin that actually the value of AZ can be solvable already. Okay? Makikita natin that AZ, since 30 degrees ito, nakita nyo, 30 degrees ito, is simply A cosine of 30. So, ang A, Z, is simply the projection of A sa kay Z. So, 30 degrees yan. Nakita nyo yung triangle na to. Okay? And so, makikita natin that 30 degrees yan. So, kung susolve natin yan, may value tayo ng A, which is 12. Susolve natin cosine 30. So, AZ is simply equal to 10.392 meters. In the same manner, ito si AXY, tawagin natin siyang AXY, simply the projection of A along XY plane. Bakit hindi natin siya masolve agad dito directly? Medyo complicated kasi yon kung yun yung gagawin natin. But kung AXY ang kukunin natin, madali natin siyang masosolve. Kasi if we project AXY dito sa taas, makita natin that it is simply the opposite side of the 30 degrees. Kung ganun ang mangyayari, masosolve natin siya. AXY is simply A sine 30 and then AXY is 6 meters. Then, the value of AXY ang gagamitin natin to solve for the value of, finally, AX and AY. So, punta tayo sa next slide. So, dito, pinakita na natin dito that AX is simply AXY cosine 40Y because AXY is ito na siya, no? Ito na siya. And then, ipoproject natin siya kay AX, so that is 40 degrees cosine 40 degrees AXY. So, multiply lang natin yan. Makuha natin that AX is 4.596. In the same manner, masusolve natin si AY. Pero this time, sign ang gagamitin natin. Why? Because nandito siya. Kung ipoproject siya natin dito sa position na ito, ayan na siya. So, ibig sabihin, opposite siya ng 40 degrees. Kaya, sine 40 degrees. Ayan. So, na-solve natin ngayon ang AZ, AX, and AY. After that, we can now represent A in terms of its components. Ayan na. So, A is equals to 4.6 I plus 3.86 J and then 10.39 K. So, ni-round off lang natin into 2 decimal places. So, I hope naintindihan natin ang process na ito. We will look into another example. But before we solve this, please pause the video so that you'll have time to solve this and try it on your own. And once you're done, pwede nyo nang i-play ulit. Okay, welcome back. So this problem speaks about the cable attached to the eye bolt is pulled with a force F of magnitude 500 Newton. So determine the rectangular representation of this force. So makikita nyo that we have force F here directed from point A to point B, and then the distance from this point to the axis, x-axis, which is 3 meters, from the z-axis 4 meters, and from point B to the origin we have 6 meters. So this will be very useful information sa pag-solve natin. So I'll be showing you the solution in the next slide. Okay, so let's solve this particular problem. So because the coordinates of points A and B on the line action of F are known, the following is a convenient method for obtaining the rectangular representation of F. So makikita natin that F actually flows in this manner, no? Papunta siya dito from point A, papunta kay point B. However, since may dimensions tayo dito, wherein from point na to, papunta sa x-axis 3, mula sa point na to, papunta sa z-axis is 4, and then ganun, mula naman sa point B, papunta sa z-axis, we have 6. Pwede natin siyang i-represent gamit itong particular figure na to. So say for example, you have a position vector AB, ayan, and then ang kanyang x, y, and z components are this one, which is 3 pababa, and then 6 meters sa kay y, and 4 meters along z. So pwede natin siyang i-represent si A as AB is equal to negative 4. Bakit negative 4 si x? Kasi itong 4 papunta siya doon sa likod. So ibig sabihin, negative ang x natin. So negative 4. And then si y, which is 6 meters papunta sa positive direction ni y. So positive 6 siya. Si z naman is negative 3. Bakit? Kasi pababa siya. So negative of z. So ibig sabihin, si AB can be expressed as negative 4i plus 6j minus k. Remember, this is not the force F. Rather, this is only the position vector from point A papunta kay point B. So, saan natin siya magagamit? So, kapag alam na natin ang position vector ni AB, pwede na natin ngayon isolve si lambda, which is lambda is represented as lambda x I plus lambda y z j plus lambda z k, which is equal to ito, yung position vector nating AB, and then i-divide natin siya by the magnitude of position vector AB. Bakit natin ito gagawin? Because we wanna solve for the relative position ng force na yun with respect to this particular axis. So makikita natin that since the value of AB is negative 4i plus 6j minus 3k, divide natin sa square root of the magnitudes nila, ano? Square ng magnitudes nila. So negative 4 squared plus 6 squared plus negative 3 squared. So, masasolve natin as lambda, our position vector, is equals to negative 4.5122i plus 0.7682j minus 0.3841k. If you can remember, kapag minultiply ko ang scalar value or the magnitude of a vector sa kanyang position vector, then masusolve ko ang actual value ng vector na yon. That goes for step number 3, which is equal to vector f is equal to the magnitude of f times position vector niya, lambda. So, pag sinubstitute natin, masusolve natin that f is equal to negative 256i plus 384j minus 192k Newton. Okay? So, for this particular example, the cable attached to the eye bolt is pulled with a force F, a magnitude of 500 Newton. Kailangan nating isolve ang rectangular representation. Then, we can say that F is equals to negative 20, 256, etc. And, pwede natin siyang i-drawing na ganito. So, makikita nyo that 256 papunta siya sa likod ng x. Bakit? Kasi negative siya. 384 Newton, papunta siya dito, and then negative 192 pababa. So, consistent siya doon sa figure natin. So, thank you. I hope nakuha nyo ang sagot. Please go back to your worksheets to solve for your, to your module to solve for the activities presented. Should you have a question, please feel free to comment on our Google Classroom. Thank you so much, and God bless you.